a lot of times people think that the best way to get your business is to just come out swinging for it. And I'm going, no, you've got to have a relationship first. Hey everybody, this is BJ.
And I'm Zach.
And this is another episode of
The Unnamed Podcast.
Okay, so we got a lot happening here. I know we last night we got a chance, the Neuse Management Media team had a Christmas party. It was kind of a food truck cornhole tournament, karaoke, had a blast. You came and hung out.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that.
For sure.
We talked a lot of trash playing cornhole.
Yes.
And in fact, I got the shirt on, but we made spoof shirts that said Corn Star.
I love it.
With my Bitmoji. When I first saw that, I went, oh my gosh, I cannot believe these guys actually put my Bitmoji on that kind of a shirt.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
I got home. I showed Steph this morning. She was asleep by the time I got home, so I went to work afterwards for a couple hours. And she went and dropped the kids off at school and came back, and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I was like, check this shirt out. And she looked at me and she was like,
right.
Brandon come up with that? I said, I think he did.
Absolutely. 100%.
I think you could tell. Yeah.
100%. Hey, so we got this really cool thing here. Great American Cookies. Let's see. Hold on. Let's pull this up.
Shoo.
There you go. Check that out. This is Merry Christmas from one of our mutual friends, Paul Suggs. I know he's a business partner of yours. And he is with East Point Prosthetics and Orthotics, and he's also got a nonprofit called EP Legacy.
Yeah.
And he didn't know we were going to do this, but we just thought, hey, it's got this beautiful cookie. We got it literally just like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Really nice special gift. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, he does a good job on the gifting, man. He is a giver for sure. Absolutely. And the Jingle Stumpy thing is just hilarious.
Yeah, so tell everybody about that. I know it was like a reindeer or whatnot.
Yeah, so you guys probably know more of it because he did this last year at least as well. But yeah, he like goes around, he dresses up like a goofy reindeer, calls himself Jingle Stumpy, and goes around and makes little spoof videos and puts them out on social media. And that's kind of his way of juxtapositioning himself into, it's a nonprofit. He does a Christmas tree with no limbs, and then you can donate $100, helps put a prosthetic leg on a person in Africa, or $200 does a more complicated version of it.
So by the time the season ends, he's hopefully has filled this tree up with limbs.
Yep.
Which is fitting for the mission of a company that does prosthetics and orthotics, but this is just nonprofit. So this is we're going to take this money and put it into manufacturing these products so that we can take them to Africa.
Exactly. So the way they had been doing is they were manufacturing in Africa on the spot using traditional methods. And the way we're kind of trying to tie it in now is he took over just here like a month ago. He went over and took an iPad and a scanner and showed the guy that is kind of like their champion over there for this, how to do scanning so that he can scan, send the data across the pond to us. And then we're going to use Additive America to manufacture the limbs in 3D. And then when he goes over, we can just ship large crates of them ready to go with patient names on them and stuff like that, or details of
that's pretty awesome, man.
It's pretty cool stuff, man.
Yeah
it's like literally changing the world. It's really cool. So it's kind of neat too that when you think like in America, like we have all the people and the economy here, and you've got folks that are in Africa that have absolutely nothing, and they're geting like cutting edge devices that people here don't even have. So that's what's really neat about it.
And I've seen him work that project for a long time, and they've done a really great job. The whole team has done a great job with it, and it's really neat, just really neat.
Yeah, it's cool
really
stuff.
Glad that you're a part of it, and it was a really nice gift. So thank you, Paul. One thing you and I were talking about last night, and I made a mental note, so I wrote it down on a little notepad today, that we've been talking about, we've seen a lot of commotions in the public figure sector about text messaging and building a community around text messaging. Like you've got LinkedIn and you got your Facebook and your YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat. But what's interesting, because I've studied this a little bit in the past, how many, it's well over 95% of text are read in the first 5 minutes of receiving them.
Yep.
And so let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing in the market. I know you've been dabbling with this a little bit, about this idea of you giving out a cell phone number, your cell phone number that people can send you text messages to and build a brand around that. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so it's been really cool. I totally copied it. Got the idea from Gary Vaynerchuk because he's been pushing this text message thing. And his background, or, I could say that this is why I'm doing it, but it's really what I learned from him was like for instance, I've got 16, 17,000 followers just on my personal page on, or
LinkedIn.
connections, followers, whatever you want to call them, on LinkedIn. But every time I put out a post, I never get 16,000 views unless it's a TikTok video of me being a clown. So that's not really great for business in the long run. So, and what you said on all text messages get read pretty much, and usually within 5 minutes. So it's very cool there. What's also cool is the way that I've done it. I use like Google Voice to kind of set up the number, and the way that I've been doing it is it's all about access. And if the more someone feels like they can reach out and directly contact you, the better. That builds that personal relationship. But the amount of people and conversations that I've been able to have with folks I've not ever talked to through doing it just this week alone has been really great. So the way that I kind of set it up is I'll kind of just put in
your wife is poking her head around.
Shoo golly. So she hates it. She's a big not fan of me putting it out there because now I have more people to talk to.
But it's, I mean, let's be honest. It's not your personal cell phone number, but it is a cell phone number that comes to your phone.
Oh, absolutely. Right. I mean, it buzzes right in just like a text message, but I can put it on like do not disturb and still receive texts from people that have like my legitimate Verizon number. But I mean, it's very much, calls come right in, it rings right in just like a normal number. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's not 100% my actual, but
but they have access.
Yeah, it's direct access. And for my business being a lot of stuff that's very time sensitive,
I'm curious about the marketing. I mean, I get the hey, if you give me if you put out your cell phone number, which is what, by the way?
252-549-0247.
All right, so you put out that phone number, and someone sends you a text. Hey, Zach, this is John Doe from Kalamazoo, right? What happens next? And that's one question. The other one is about the marketing side of it. So what happens next? When they send you a text, what happens?
Well, I put it out there, and I'm like, hey, type this number in your phone, save it as Zac Holcomb, Additive America, shoot me a text with your name and the company you work with, and I'll plug you into my phone. And then, one thing leads to the next. You're like, hey, thanks for reaching out. I really appreciate it, Dave. And, I really like the company you work for. That's really cool. And, some of the stuff like that. But the reason that I'm doing it is because at any point in time, I can directly contact someone. Yeah,
but and I want to say devil's advocate for a second, because at least with social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, even to some extent YouTube, you can still see that it's a real person, right? With this strategy, and I'm cool with the strategy. I'm just kind of curious about it. Sure. With this strategy, there's no way for you to really know whether this person sending you a text is that person.
Is actually that person? Yeah, you never really know. So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely correct. Like people could totally spoof it and be like, "Hi, this is Billy Bob, and I'm the CEO of some huge thing," and I would never ever know. Right. Totally true. Right. It could totally happen. I don't have a good answer for how to not let that happen to me.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see, because I know this is even though text messaging has been around a while, I know that there's a company who's trying to pioneer this with some public figures. But I'm kind of curious to see what other. I'm watching the market, because I've even searched this a little bit now. I'm trying to see if like a WhatsApp or Google Messages or some other entity sees this happening, and they go, okay, how do we like peel off this little spot and focus a team on creating this or enhancing our product service for these public figures who want to have this text messaging campaign. So I'm kind of curious to see that, because right now you're doing it the old way with Google Hangout kind of a number. But what about the marketing side of this? Are you looking at the idea of taking these listed, let's just say it's 100. You get 100 in a week. You take these 100 names. Are you sending them anything?
Yeah, currently not. I'm currently not putting anything out. I'm not producing content and blasting it back to them yet. Again, I've not been doing it very long to really know. But
that's why we're chatting.
Yeah. So, but like, it's definitely along the thought process of I'm just doing and I'm learning as I go, and like I'm probably going to make some mistakes for sure.
100%.
But yeah, I think like like when I post on social, it's only going to get to 5, 10, 25% of the people that are following me. But if I can build up kind of like the organic reach that I'm getting in LinkedIn, everyone's like, oh man, organic reach on LinkedIn is so great. It's not really great compared to a year ago. But if you'd never gotten on there, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Well, it is, but it's not what it was.
We can, with our news platform we built, we've had 3 or 4 stories this week to really catch on. I mean, it gets shared a lot for our network. We've got getting close to 12,000 followers on Facebook. And, when we have something hot, we're lucky if we get to 4,000 reach. And that reach isn't necessarily 4,000 in that already like Neuse. It's just a generic reach.
4,000, which is probably like 1,500 and then shares.
And there's no way for us to really know that. Sure. And so even though we have something that takes off, we're still really lucky if we get a third of the people who actually like our page.
Yep.
And, we could pay to boost articles. As a publisher, I'm a little hesitant on that idea just yet.
Yeah.
I think it's one thing to boost, let's get some likes, or let's encourage people to sign up for our newsletter. It's another to boost this story over another story.
Yeah, you kind of get into some of the, especially when you're trying to be, straight up and down news. Yeah, you don't want to be. Yeah, that could be a slippery slope.
Yeah, and I haven't figured that out yet. I'm not saying I'm not going to try it, but going back to the text messaging piece. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about the marketing. Like, for example, we've got this podcast. We've done close to 10 episodes or so together. And, I mean, I could see where, once we publish this, you send out a link. Hey, y'all, hope you're having a happy Friday. That's Zach. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
And you, hey, just did a cool podcast with my man BJ. Here's a link.
Yeah, I think you'll love it. Check it out.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do those types of things, I'm sure.
Absolutely. What's also cool is I can kind of put them in different groups in a sense of like, all right, these are a lot of people that are with this type of they're this type of a crowd. So like maybe today I'm putting out something that's really to, let's just say, a business administration type crowd. Or like, hey, we did a podcast talking about some business administration type stuff. And so I can just send it directly to them. The other way that I see myself using it in the long term is these are folks that are willing and open to giving me their cell phone number. So I don't want to spam the tar out of them, obviously.
Right.
But if I can kind of bring some things to their attention, like, all right, everyone's got their cell phone all day and you look at all your text messages before you go to sleep every day. Well, those are people that are generally, people get busy and stuff. They might miss one of the 19 posts I put on my LinkedIn because they probably do, to be honest. The amount of people that I talk to, like I fall, Brent and I fall on this a lot, is like we post so much and we know everything that we post, and then we'll talk to somebody on the phone and they'll be like, hey, I saw that you do this. And we're like, well, right, but didn't you see this video, and this video? And they're like, well, no, I just saw this one. You're like, oh, that's right. I can't expect everyone to know the entire timeline. Nobody has time to sit there and do that. But as we go, I'll be like, man, I remember when I talked to Bill about that one thing and he had questions. So this video totally answers that for Bill. And as opposed to me sending him one of the 900 LinkedIn messages he's getting from people selling him on something, I can just shoot him in a text. Hey, check out this link to this video I posted on LinkedIn. Right. It's really pertinent information to the conversation we had last Tuesday. And that's where I see myself really.
Are we able to search our LinkedIn activity to see, if we made a post about cookies, if I took this and I made hey, this is my cookie gift I got today. Can I go in and search my activity or my timeline and go BJ Murphy cookie and then see that? Is that possible? I haven't really tried that. You can
some, yeah. So like, there's some interesting things where like, there's some companies that don't have a very big presence online, right? Or like on LinkedIn per se. But if you go onto LinkedIn and you search that company's name, and I've mentioned it 3 times and I've got a large following, the first 3 things that pop up are like, Zac Holcomb this, Zac Holcomb this, Zac Holcomb this. And it's it's really not even my company. It's just I'm posting so much and my things get so much traction that they pop to the top. And it's generally, you got to watch a lot of times too. Sometimes it just automatically sorts stuff by top, not recent. And so that's what generally can happen.
Something that's relevant, not necessarily right.
Exactly.
Yes, that is interesting. So the whole concept, the whole idea is creating this community around your brand. And I have found that to be easier, at least in my perspective, around an entity like Neuse, than it has been maybe so for BJ Murphy.
Sure.
Now, I will say that was different when I was mayor because then I was giving legit updates from a public official stance. But now that I've transitioned, more into the business and kind of opening up about what we're doing in business and what we're building, I have found that transition to be a little bit more challenging for me. And so, yes, we do the BJ Murphy 360 email newsletter. It comes out every Monday morning. And for right now, it basically is a summary of some blogs that I might do during the week or this podcast or something that I want to insert into it. So we're doing that. But when I think about, this text messaging thing for me, I'm kind of going, okay, I can see that. It's one more thing for me to learn, and I get that. I'm cool with figuring out where the market is shifting, and I'm questioning how many things can I be effective at enough during the time I've got in a day.
Sure,
because I work a lot.
Just sleep less.
I do.
Come on, BJ.
Yeah, no. This is not excuses. This is me trying to figure it out.
For sure.
I'm not a fan of excuses.
No,
you
not
ask
at
my
all.
kids, what does Daddy not like? And what their answer should be? Whining. I can't.
I like it.
Look, you want to make me mad? Start whining about something,
Yeah.
and I get really frustrated about it.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
This idea of building a brand, a community around your brand, and I have struggled actually with this idea that BJ had a fan page on Facebook. I mean, I've really struggled with the vanity of that. But when Facebook caps you at 5,000 fans, what are you supposed to do? And you go put a business page or a fan page. So,
I mean, the other reason that I like doing it is I used to be like, I'm only going to do LinkedIn, and I'm only going to do LinkedIn videos. And if you don't like it, and you don't communicate with me there, then I'm fine.
Right.
I'll just take what I get there.
Right.
And I'm learning that how some of my strategy is I don't just make one video a month and spend 9 days making sure it gets, I take a survey. Okay, guys, we watch these 5 videos. Tell me which one you like best, all my friends, and then I pick one and then I play that video every day for a month. You get more by being more specific because I don't have to just like hone in on one thing. I can be like, hey, engineers that are dealing with, hey, injection molders, hi, CNC machinist, hi, folks using other 3D printing technologies. I can get very specific very quickly. How's it going, LinkedIn? And then I post that video, and then I start another one. What's going on, Instagram?
Right.
How's it going, YouTube? And it's the same message, but I'm getting more direct and more specific. And for me, the text messaging is exactly that. I've been on there and had people that have followed me that I know have followed me for over a year and a half.
Right.
They've never liked any of my posts. They've never commented on any of my posts, and they've never sent me a direct message. But dang if they didn't send me a text last night.
Interesting.
It's like, dang.
Well, and you were talking to me earlier about somebody reached out to you on LinkedIn, and we've talked about. I got so frustrated with somebody who would send me a message about, when we connect, the first email to me through LinkedIn, the first message was about all their products, and they just start throwing up on me about everything they do, and it's frustrating.
The copy and paste.
Right. So I actually made a video and said, stop doing that. And so now anytime someone sends me one of those messages, I just send them a link to that video. I don't even respond. I just copy, paste. And
it's going to be like your most watched video eventually.
It may be.
Just because you're sharing it like crazy.
There are so many boneheads out there who think the best way to sell you something is, hey, I'm BJ. I sell these really great cookies. Have you noticed them? They're really big, and you can have all these great designs on them. I think you should try one.
Yeah, and they're like this, or like they're like, come on,
right? And I'm going. How about let's start a relationship first.
For sure.
So you were talking about that someone reached out to you on LinkedIn. You connected. Then what happened?
I get it all the time. Connection request sent, and then it's like, hey, how's it? Just like what you described. Now, someone hit me with a roundabout one the other day. It was on Instagram. They're like, they followed me. They liked like 7 pictures, and you're like, all right, here we go. Mm-hmm. It's coming. It's like this. Right. Come on, take it. And then they were like, they sent me a message. They're like, hey, we do a podcast. We think you'd be great on it. Would you want to be on our podcast for an episode? I'm like, let's do that. Absolutely. And then I never heard back from them. And then I got a message today that said, do you want to grow the number of money? Do you want to grow your revenue through your social media? And I'm like, because we can help you with that. We can help you get more sales contacts. I'm like, well, cool. Like, well, can we do the podcast thing? Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to bring a lot of sales contacts to you.
Right.
Because like, isn't that the point of doing the thing?
Collaboration.
Like, collab and then crossover. And it was just like, oh my goodness, like, man, I thought they were on it, and then they like spit up on themselves after eating the meal, and yeah, it's just kind of weird.
Now, it leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
Yeah, I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, it's frustrating. A lot of times, people think that the best way to get your business is to just come out swinging for it. And I'm going, no, you've got to have a relationship first.
Yeah, it's like shotgun marketing, like spray and pray.
Yeah.
Like, no.
That's not the way it works, because that actually repels me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, though, and you can see the timeshare industry is probably, a major benefactor of it, the strategy works. I mean, there are enough people who fall for that kind of stuff to the point that it's made multimillionaires in the timeshare industry, which most real estate experts will say that's probably not a good investment. But it might fit some people's budget, and they run with it, and more power to them. But,
for sure. I had a really cool meeting this morning with a guy who is he's like he's like a business coach, life coach type thing, but what was cool about his approach, like he was very clearly like, not aggressively, but very clearly like, let's jump on a call and let me see if I can get you, in my community as, me being a life coach for you. But the way that it was so not unassuming, but like so not aggressive that we ended up having like a 45-minute phone call and find out, hey, we do tons of stuff. We're very similar on this, and this. And because he was so open in that and was literally like, we talked for 25 minutes, and he was like, I mean, do you want to hear, like, I can give you a little pitch of kind of like what I do? And I was like, sure, like by all means. But at that point, I'm like, well, I mean, I'll listen, because it might not be something for me, but I come into enough contact with people that are starting businesses and, kind of like what I call like the machine gun with no rails on it is they're good and they've got drive, but they're shooting everywhere and they don't have any real direction and focus. And I was, I'm not the guy that's going to end up being his client, but he now is a person that when I see people, I'll be like, oh man, there's this guy you might want to be interested in talking to.
Right.
And then what was also cool about it, I was like, he's kind of younger guy too. And I was like, he's up in like Raleigh, Cary area. I was like, man, actually there's this guy down here in Kinston that does this social media thing, little summit. And I said, might be a cool way that they're doing their thing that might work for you, building your community of other life coaches in the area. Why don't you host a monthly get together at different breweries around town and just invite people that it costs nothing to put it on. All you do is call a brewery like, hey, you care if we like have 20 people meet there? They're going to be like,
yeah, we want you to
we
come.
love that. That sounds great. You get to kind of promote them a little bit and you build that relationship. You might find someone there that wants to work with you. But I was like, hey, the social media mastermind thing would be perfect for him to come to, as he can come and learn more about social media and how to work it for his advantage. But he's also going to be in a meeting or a group for a whole day with a bunch of people that are looking for help on things that he could probably mentor. So it's kind of a cool cross promotion thing. I'll have to set you guys up. I told him I'll have to join you guys together, but kind of some cool crossover there. But if he would have been so upfront about, hi, I'm a life coach and I want to help you, I probably would have never had the phone call. And we video called for like almost an hour today, which is a significant amount of time. But
that is cool.
Now there will probably be some pretty cool crossover with that. So
your dad said we got to keep it to 20 minutes, and I think we're right around that mark.
Fair enough.
I hope this means that he has watched and shared and commented on every single podcast we've done since that challenge.
That's a call out right there, because I have not seen him sharing them.
And last time you did a challenge of the day, you made a challenge to me. I will tell you that I've had conversations with my team member, and actually we met again this morning. I've dropped a few hints this week, and we met this morning, and we're going to see. So Aletha said in the office, the VP operations here, she said, you need to get Zach to do another challenge. So you got to think of a challenge of the day.
Oh man, on the spot.
On the spot.
Was that the one about putting the guys on the
reporter and the subject on the same video?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or you want to leave them a challenge?
Oh, your challenge. Send me a text 2525. No, I'm just
no, that's good. I like
that's a good challenge. This is a good challenge. All right, I'm going with it. 252-549-0247. Put it in your phone. Save it as Zac Holcomb and send me a text and tell me who you are, and let's communicate.
I love it.
There's a challenge for you.
I love it. That's good.
Yeah, I got to pick my number. Could you tell?
Yeah, 0247.
Had to have it.
I
went through and I was like, scroll. I'm like, that's the one. That's the one.
I picked up on it as soon as you said it.
Yeah.
All right, I need to send you a text, apparently.
Yeah. Side note, this is worth the extra 45 seconds.
All right.
you actually got my real cell phone number this week.
I did.
Like 2 days ago, I was like, I called him and I was like, he didn't answer, and I was like, oh my gosh, he doesn't know this number. So I had to text him. I was like, this is actually Zach's Verizon cell phone number.
You did. But what's great about it too is that anybody who calls me, they get my voicemail because the cell phone companies in Congress have not figured out how the spam on cell phones is working. It's like your spam mail you're getting on phone calls. So these robocalls, I'm sick of it. So I don't even answer my phone unless you're already in my contacts. I'll answer if it's in my contacts. But I didn't know that number out of area code. So I was at 614 area code.
Yeah.
So so as soon as I saw it, and I went to Google and 614, and I saw it was like the Ohio number,
Columbus
and
area.
then you sent me a text right after. I was like, okay, I'm calling it back.
So yeah,
My voicemail says, "Hey,
Do not.
this is BJ's phone. If you know me, send me a text. If you don't know me, don't call me back." That's
I
pretty
love
much
it.
what it is.
So he literally just said that if you call him and your number's not saved in his phone, he won't answer. So that's why I use the text messaging, because if you send me a text, I'll put you in my phone, and then
Right.
when you call,
That's
probably
going
gonna
to That's a
answer.
good way to close out. Hey, this is BJ Murphy,
And I'm Zach Holcomb,
and this has been another episode of
the Unnamed Podcast.
And that was a great way to close
Dude,
out.
that
man.
wrapped up
That's good. I
sick.
love it.
We're getting scary good at this.